This video was made weeks ago, but I wasn't able to upload it because of, well, personal life issues and junk like that, so because of that, it is here now. However, it should be noted that this was made before the Smash Direct, and I'm still uploading it because I just worked really hard on it and just want to share this with all of you. Now, admittedly, it's not as extravagant and as amazing as World of Light, but just something I came up with and wanted to share with everyone. So with that said, please enjoy this video and understand that Incineroar and Ken aren't in this simply because, well, it was made before then. So with that said, I hope you all enjoy.
Hey guys, it's the Lyoko Gem and welcome to another video. This would be my first ever Smash video, and while I'm normally not making videos for this franchise, I thought I'd take a crack at this. As everybody knows, Smash Ultimate is just around the corner, and I think we're all beyond excited for what it'll bring. But one of the things it'll bring is something that everybody's been talking about, and that of course is the mysterious green mode we saw in the Nintendo Direct back on the 8th of August. Now, many people are sleuthing, and we have found that it is called Spirits Mode. And naturally, a lot of people are thinking this is going to be some sort of new story mode, much like the Subspace Emissary. And because of that, I'm here to get into it and try and build a story based on that concept of spirits. The only rules I have set for myself are that I must use each of the 73 currently revealed characters, and I must keep with the theme of heroes versus villains that they've got going on. So with that said, let's get into it. Like all stories of Smash, it all begins at the floating stadium. Weapons would clash as we jump right into the thick of it, with the original 8 Smashers duking it out in an all-out free-for-all. Random denizens of the games would be there in the crowds, like Toads and stuff, going wild at the fight going on, and it would be great. But a few notable ones outside of that would be Inkling, Isabelle, and Snake. With that, you jump right into the fray, picking a character and jumping straight into an 8-player free-for-all. Just as the battle is getting exciting, things begin to take a turn for the absolute worst when Bowser's massive warship decides to crash the party, forcing the fighting heroes on the battlefield to prepare for battle. Alarms would blare, and Snake is quick to make evacuation procedures for everyone as they file out of the stadium in a panic. At that, Bowser would make the drop on them, slamming down into the stadium. But if that wasn't bad enough, then you can imagine the surprise of everybody when all the villains of the characters drop down as well. K. Rool for Donkey Kong, Ganondorf for Link, Dark Samus for Samus, the IRS, Bowser Jr. for Yoshi, because, yeah, he doesn't have a villain, DDD for Kirby, Wolf for Fox, and Mewtwo for Pikachu. The battlefield would also be locked off with some sort of force field, keeping Snake and the others from getting in. Immediately, a huge battle would break out between all of them, and whichever character you choose will pit you against their respective villain. After you play as one of these characters, the battle would continue only for things to go south and for the villains to win and straight up murder the heroes. And yes, murder. Normally this isn't the sort of thing I'd go for with this sort of thing, but we've got the Spirits theme and the trailers, so I just decided to roll with it. Now, of course, it wouldn't be something gruesome, but it would be enough where it would be notable that the player understands that these characters die. It would be probably something off-screen or something, I don't know. But all the villains would successfully kill their heroes and bottle up their spirits in jars or something. I don't know, something to store them in before going off. From there, the story would then jump to Falco and Pokemon Trainer, walking together through the forest. Falco is leading. Falco has a wanted poster in hand for Greninja. Quickly, they are confronted by some monsters and prepare for battle. The level would then take you through the forest, and they would then arrive at a lake. From there, we would find Shulk looking up at a mountain, and we would have a stage with him going through the icy foothills of it all. The level would end when he reaches the bottom of the mountain. Transitioning back to the villains, we find them conversing, and by conversing I mean making grunts at each other because it's subspace, and the end result would have them scattering in different ships around the world while the flagship, now piloted by Ganondorf, makes its way up into the sky. The scene would then transition back to the ground, where Snake is watching this just outside of the floating stadium, as the ships scatter and fly away, and just as he's about to make a move to go in the direction of one, he is stopped. He looks down and sees none other than Inkling and Isabelle looking terrified at what happened to the floating stadium. Snake sighs at this, but urges for them to come along with him. Timidly, the two would follow, and you'd have a level through the outside of the stadium with Snake, Inkling, and Isabelle. They would come to the end of the level where the two are looking reasonably happy after following Snake, and Snake can't help but smile at their antics. They continue on into the greater desert before them. The next scene would open up on Bowser with Dracula in the castle. He and Dracula would be grunting at each other in the typical subspace fashion. Eventually it would lead to Bowser taking out Mario's soul jar thing, and he'd pour a little bit of it into a wine glass, where it would end and Bowser would wave his goodbye to Dracula. This would be a disconnected scene, just one of those, one of those that would play in subspace showing what the villains were doing, but wouldn't have a level with them. Yeah. From there, we are introduced to the Mii Fighter, Gunner, and Brawler, who are busy trying to defend some sort of Mii village from King Dedede and his portion of the fleet. The level would take you and the 3 default Miis through the village and would end with King Dedede coming down himself, holding a jar that contains Link's spirit in it. With that, we'd return to Falco and Pokemon Trainer at the lake. Falco would look down at the wanted poster again, only to be ambushed by Greninja himself. Falco would then be taken out of the picture for this battle, so that we can have a wild Pokemon battle between Pokemon Trainer and Greninja. Pokemon Trainer would win and attempt to catch Greninja, only for him to slap the ball away. He then lets Falco go and vanishes into the tree line, forcing Falco and Pokemon Trainer to rush after him. Speaking of rushing after someone, we return to Team Snake, and they're going through the desert, only for a certain blue blur to play some tricks on Snake, rushing by, pushing him down, and all of this shenanigans that he would. Inkling would snicker at this, while Isabelle would try to help him up, looking worried. When she does this, Snake would look up at the screen, glaring, only for us to finally get a look at Sonic, who laughs at him and runs off. Snake would be quick to go after him, as the trio trails behind, and you'd have a level chasing after Sonic in the desert. The level would end with Snake finally catching up to Sonic and grabbing him by the collar. Being reasonably taller than Sonic, he would be lifted off the ground, and Sonic would look sheepishly at him. We then find ourselves in the scene of the Simon Belmont trailer. It's raining, and Luigi is walking into Dracula's castle. He would be doing the usual, scared and clutching the Poltergus. And I'm going to go out on a liberty here and break the no talking rule, but Luigi would be calling out for Mario as well. We then have a Luigi level of Dracula's castle, and it would end with him slowly approaching Dracula's chamber, only for him to get murdered by the ghost thing in the trailer. And we'd leave it there. We then go to Skyworld, where we have a small mission with Pit and play through Skyworld for a bit, only to end up at Palutena's palace. As Palutena and Pit are happily grunting at each other, things would darken in Skyworld, and Ganondorf's ship would emerge from below the clouds. Skyworld is officially under attack. But we'll find out what happens with that later, as we continue to find a strange view. We'd see stars falling across the screen in a sort of weird vision, only for it to disappear. In its place, we would find Ness waking up as if he's had a bad dream. He and Lucas are camping in the woods together, and the two of them would continue on their way through the forest, making the level with them going through the forest. The scene would end on nothing special, as the two would end up in a clearing, the sound of chopping wood in the distance. We then return to Dracula's castle. We are introduced to Simon Belmont, who is making his way inside, and we then have a level with Solo Simon. He then arrives at the door where Luigi is, and he finds Luigi and helps him return his spirit to his body. Together, Luigi and Simon continue through Dracula's castle and arrive in his chambers. Of course, this begins a boss fight with Dracula, and the first wave is done. Simon's in trouble, and no surprise, but Richter appeared. Richter appears. I probably said that wrong. Then, Luigi, Simon, and Richter finish off Dracula, and they're able to get to the wine glass that has Mario's soul, and are able to restore his body, which Luigi quickly hugs. Except, there's a small issue. When Mario's soul is restored, it reforms into Dr. Mario. All of them are very confused by this. Dr. Mario elects to leave, to which Luigi tries to go with him, but Mario rejects this, gesturing for Luigi to go with Simon and Richter. Luigi is saddened by this, but reluctantly agrees. We then return to Shulk at the mountain, who is about to climb, only to run into and fight Ike. Shulk wins, and the two end up working together and climb the mountain. They make their way about halfway up, and then it ends. From there, we move on to Hyrule, where we find Ryu, Roy, Cloud, Corrin, and Bayonetta defending the kingdom from the invading King K. Rool. And that's going well. Your level would be through the kingdom and trying to reach the castle while it's all under attack. You'd reach the end, and the scene would go into them preparing to storm the castle. From there, we return to the Mii's, and they fight King DDD for a level. But DDD proves to be too strong for them, but suddenly, Meta Knight appears, ready to ward off DDD, and in the process he manages to spill some of the spirit jar that he's been holding in his hand. With that, some of the spirit is freed and reforms into Link. But, like with Mario, something odd happens. Since it's not the full spirit, Link starts forming into himself, only to backpedal and remain on Toon Link. Needless to say, this surprises everyone, and Toon Link is very confused, but fights DDD with the Mii's and Meta Knight regardless. At the end of the battle, DDD manages to lose some of Link's soul again, and that makes him into young Link, so he decides to make a retreat, to which they quickly race on after him. We then return to Skyworld, where Ganondorf and his forces go on the attack, and you play as Pit and Palutena as they venture throughout. When they finally get to the end of Skyworld, Ganondorf is there to face them personally, and they take notice that he has Fox's Spirit Jar thing on display as well. But if things are looking bleak, then they're bound to get worse, because Ganondorf also releases Rathalos on Skyworld. Yep. Pit looks shocked and confused as to what to do, but Palutena points up to Rathalos, which he nods and chases after him while Palutena handles Ganondorf, one-on-one. He has some cutscene fighting with him and loses, only for a surprise to come in the form of Rosalina and Luma, who appear to give him a hand. With that, they fight Rathalos and are able to beat him, sending him falling through the skies below. With that, they quickly rush back to Palutena, ending the scene. We then go to Lucas and Ness, who are in the clearing of the forest. Ness has another vision of stars falling, only to be broken out of it by the sight of a dog chasing after a duck. Of course, it's Duck Hunt, and it's weird, and Lucas and Ness decide to chase after Duck Hunt. We then see a little villager cutting down trees in the woods, only for Duck Hunt to run into the clearing. Villager would pet him, and just then, Lucas and Ness would show up too, and together they continue through the woods, so we'd have Duck Hunt, Lucas, Ness, and Villager together. The level would end with them arriving in a forest with all kinds of flyers for Greninja. The scene then returns to the forest where Pokemon Trainer and Falco are chasing after Greninja. The level would play out, and they'd arrive in the same clearing and find Lucas, Ness, Villager, and Duck Hunt there. Greninja looks confused at all of them, and at that, Wario would come out and surprise everyone by killing Greninja and capturing his spirit. This would shock everyone, and with that, he'd run off, shocking everyone and having them all chase after him. We'd then get Mega Man entering some kind of gigantic facility and going through it for a level. At the end of it, we get a cutscene of him being startled because he hears something in the distance. Then we'd have some more mountain climbing with Ike and Shulk, only for them to get halfway up and find Captain Falcon, who wants to fight them. They win, and Captain Falcon joins their team, and they continue up the mountain. Then we'd go to the Belmonts and Luigi, who are walking through the desert. You'd have some desert level, and their part would end. From there, we'd return to Snake and crew, and Snake is glaring at Sonic and all. The Belmonts and Luigi would arrive, and they'd be confused at the newcomers, only for their attention to be drawn away when Rathalos literally comes falling from the sky, only for him to find his place in the air and roughly land. Isabelle gets scared at this and hides behind Snake. Luigi does the same with Simon and Richter, who are glaring at Rathalos. Inkling looks hyped, and Snake just looks stupefied at Sonic. Snake sets him down, and they all stand against Rathalos, ready to fight the dragon. And with that, we'd have the second Rathalos boss fight. They'd win, and that would mark the end of their part of the campaign, and everybody would be happy and all of that. With one campaign ending, we'd open another, which would have us in the Mushroom Kingdom as it faces an invasion by Bowser Jr., who has hold of Yoshi's soul. They would then fight it out with Olimar, Little Mac, Wii Fit Trainer, Robin, Pac-Man, Game & Watch, and they are all defending the kingdom, with Peach and Daisy getting into it as well. The level would end there. We then return to Skyworld, where Rosalina and Pit arrive just in time for the tail end of the battle between Ganondorf and Palutena. You then play as Palutena to fight Ganondorf. Palutena seems to win, only for Ganondorf to pull a fast one and kill her and take her spirit. This surprises Pit and Rosalina, and Ganondorf leaves on his ship. A level would then be done of Pit and Rosalina chasing after the ship through Skyworld, and it would end with them being stowaways on the tail end of the ship. Then we'd go back to the Mii's, Young Link, and Meta Knight chasing after Didi and play a level with them. We then go back to Mega Man in the facility, only to find that the one making the noise was Dr. Mario, as he crawls out of a vent, and quickly they team up. They continue through the facility and arrive at the end where Dark Samus is waiting for them, and has Samus' soul and the rest of Mario's. Quickly they fight it out, and Dark Samus is down for the count. Samus is restored, and Dr. Mario is able to regain the rest of his soul and return to his normal self. With that, the three go off and are able to continue through the facility. Later on, we get to the mountain climbers, and they are greeted by Popo and Nana, who don't try to fight them, but instead join them, adding the ice climbers to their party. When they arrive at the top, they are greeted by Lucario and Mewtwo, fighting over Pikachu's soul. Quickly, they join the fray, and due to the surprise of the attack, a little bit of Pikachu is freed, making him Pichu. With that, they fight Mewtwo. They win, and Mewtwo makes the retreat to Ganondorf's ship, that just so happens to have come down near the mountain, and the team goes and catches up with him as well. Then we return to the Mushroom Kingdom, where the team has cleaned up most of Bowser Jr.'s attack, so he comes to take them on himself and fight it out. They win, and they're able to free Yoshi. But as Bowser Jr. is trapped by them, he begins to laugh, leaving them all confused, only for them to look at the sky as it darkens around them. Why is Bowser Jr. laughing? Daddy's home, as Bowser's ship looms over the horizon. We then go back to the Mii's, Meta Knight, and Young Link, and they're chasing after DDD. We get a level of just that, and it ends. From there, we go to all the characters in the woods, and they're chasing after Wario. Level through the woods, and that ends. We then get a thing of Wolf at the edge of the tree line of the forest. He's holding on to Kirby's soul and one of Greninja's wanted posters. And that's when both Wario and King Dedede come running into him from different directions at the same time. This causes them to drop Kirby's soul, the remainder of Link's, and Greninja's, restoring both of them and turning young Link back into Link. The three villains are left to fight them off, and they win, officially ending their story. We then return to the One Kingdom where Hyrule is. We open on Zelda and Marth fighting him off in the throne room of the palace. You play as them fighting King Hyrule. They fight a losing battle, and Hyrule is able to kill Marth, and Zelda quickly flees. We then get to Team DLC as they make their way through the castle. They arrive at the end, and wham bam, they arrive just in time to see King Hyrule sitting on the throne with Marth's soul, and Princess Zelda is nowhere in sight. At that, they fight him only for Sheik to join the fray. When Hyrule is defeated, he reveals Donkey Kong's spirit, and they're able to restore him and Marth, and that ends their part of the campaign. We then get to Mario, Samus, and Mega Man, and they have a level through the Tekina facility. Soon they arrive on a familiar bridge, and the events of the Ridley trailer take place. Phase 1 has Samus fighting Ridley, only for her power suit to get damaged, and force her to go Zero Suit to fight in that one scene. Samus beats Ridley, and they're able to continue along. Outside the bridge, they find a powered-down Rob. They turn him on, and he joins them. With that, they continue deeper into the facility. We then get on the ship with Pit and Rosalina, only for them to immediately be greeted by Dark Pit. They fight him and win, and they continue on their way. They then arrive in the main room where Ganondorf is, and he still has Fox's and Palutena's souls. They have to fight with him. In the end, Rosalina and Pit are badly damaged in the fight, but we cut away from them. We then return to Mario, Mega Man, Samus, and Rob in the facility and have a level with them. At the end, they find a mysterious Mario pipe and go through it, leaving where they are ambiguous. We then finally get back to the ones who were chasing after Mewtwo on the ship and are going through it. The level ends, and we get a scene of Ganondorf drawing his sword, ready to finish off Pit, only for Mewtwo to burst in and the others to quickly follow. Everyone is confused at this, and Mewtwo accidentally lets go of Pikachu's spirit and restores him. With that, they all have the final fight with Ganondorf and Mewtwo, with your choice of those characters. In the end, they're both defeated, and they're able to restore Fox and Palutena. Unfortunately for them, the ship is crashing down, and using their magical magicness, Palutena is able to save them, ending their story with a bunch of happy people in the ruins of a ship. Finally, we end on the final story where the extras are ready to take on Bowser. At first, they're able to manage with his armies, and they fight him. They win, and just as they are all happy and ready to take back the kingdom, Bowser shocks everyone by becoming Giga Bowser, and all seems lost for the Mushroom Kingdom, knowing that these characters just cannot take on the threat. And that's when a pipe rises out of the ground, and out of it, Mario appears with a flaming punch to Giga Bowser's face that takes him by surprise, but kicks off the fight as the other three arrive out of the pipe as well. It's literally Thor arrives in Wakanda, but it's Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's Smash, and honestly it's not nearly as cool, but oh well. And with that, you're able to take your pick of the present characters for this final boss fight. They'd of course beat Giga Bowser in some sort of epic finale, and with that, Spirits Mode would come to a close. If you're not cool with that ending, then alternatively, we could have a special secret ending where all the heroes are brought to subspace or something with Master Hand or Taboo or whatever, and the whole deal with everyone is here, and they'd fight him off, and in the end, and all of that jazz. But I personally like the ending with just Mario and friends versus Bowser for that final heroes versus villains deal. But oh damn, I am done. This thing took 2 whole weekends to write, and my script is 4,000 words. But I think this was worth it. I had a lot of fun, and a lot of hell, writing this, but in the end, it was something I really wanted to do, and I'm glad I did it. But what do you think of my version of Spirits Mode? Do you like it, or do you think it's a steaming pile of garbage? Are you excited for Smash Ultimate and hope there's a story mode like this? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks so much for watching. If you like this video and want to hear more from the Lyoko Gem, then please like, subscribe, and follow my social media at Tumblr, Twitter, and Discord, all linked below. With all that being said, this has been the Lyoko Gem, a warping out.